I'm looking for it actually. Let me talk a little bit about, some sense of hopefulness. I was actually just having a conversation with Trinidadian living in the US about the whole notion, I'm sorry, living here in Canada, in Toronto, about the whole notion of people doing volunteer work in the Global South. One of the things I constantly tell people about the Caribbean when they're faced with these images of violence, I say, visit. And don't visit as a sex tourist, but it's about how we can engage people in centering the work and centering building capacity for doing the work where the work is being done. Very often, whether it's EGAL or the LA Lesbian and Gay Center or Eaglehurst, people who are looking to do this work in the Global North are bringing the need to raise funds to do it. And what does that mean for our efforts, just struggling to leverage resources in the Global South, where I think Eaglehurst award a few years ago.
Maybe you can, for people who don't know what Eaglehurst is, maybe you can.
I'm sorry, Eaglehurst is a US-based nonprofit that pioneered in many ways a focused approach to doing human rights advocacy around LGBT and to a smaller extent HIV issues. They do focus a little bit on, they focused initially quite a bit on the newly emerging states in Eastern Europe, but much of the thrust of their work began to focus on the Global South and to some extent as well on North America. Right now they actually have done something very interesting. They've got offices that they've opened in Latin America and in Africa that have begun to try and shift the center of some of how they do that kind of engagement and involve different kinds of partnerships with local activists. But they also give an annual award called the Felipe de Souza Award. And a few years ago, I think the value of that award I was calculating, which is what goes to the usually Global South activist, was probably one paycheck plus fringe for a senior employee. So it kind of shows some of the resource challenges. But here's